This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Saturday, February the 6th, race number 11 at Tampa Bay Downs. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 3 Sam F. Davis Stakes. 3-year-old seeking Kentucky Derby qualifying points, heading 1 1/16 at Tampa Bay Downs. You can download free Formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us. Like, this is a very competitive group. Smiley Sabatka, the number 5. This horse was second in the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club. Morning line favor. I can certainly understand it, but it's not like he has such an edge that I want to go too low on him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know that you'd want to go, too low on anybody in this race. It kind of handicaps wide open, Dan. I felt like there was a lot of filler in here too, though. So I guess we'll see how it all plays out. With all these, it feels like to me there are a lot of horses in here that are hard to like, and you just wonder how much trouble that could cause for some other horses.
There's a chance this pace could heat up. Timeform US believes this is a red bar, fast-paced scenario. Candyman Rocket just won off of a sprint. Boca Boy went gate to wire when last seen. Smiley Sabatka has shown speed. I think Boca Boy, the 7, is going to be going off the layoff.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't show speed with that horse. It feels like that's his best game. And then we'll just see who else decides to go with him.
Very quietly, the number 1 Hidden Stash, son of that really good young stallion Constitution, has won 2 races in a row for an underrated trainer in Vicky Oliver. We have a formulator fact for Vicky Oliver over the past 5 years. 3-year-old last out winners on dirt. Good numbers, 33% and a positive ROI. This horse draws a nice inside post, might get some pace to run at, just seems to be lurking under the radar. I think a lot of folks are going to say, I'm not sure how good he is. He's got to prove it.
He probably does, but I'm going to use this horse. He feels like he's going to be a good price from a good post. And, when I watch his last 2 races, it feels to me like he's really improved with the added distance. He still looks a bit green to me. I can see this horse, sort of finally putting everything together and taking a step forward.
A horse that's already won around 2 turns at Tampa Bay Downs on the dirt is the 2, Joe Man Joe, who is going turf to dirt. Here's the race 2 starts back. The maiden win, where he beat a couple of minor next out winners. Joe Man Joe is on the outside in this 1 mile and 40-yard race. He's got a lot of work to do, Mike, and he's going to wear down Ricochet, who's in this race. How did he win?
He won because he got a super competitive pace in front of him here. He sat it out. And he's just going to finally get up at the end. To me, you really wanted Ricochet out of that race, who did all the hard work up on the pace. And, of course, Ricochet has already come back to win out of there. Joe Man Joe, his prior 2 starts before that maiden win, Dan, he was in against Hidden Stash and Smiley Sabatka, and he got drowned by those 2 horses.
The key to this race is the 3 Known Agenda. And if Known Agenda goes off close to his 6-1 morning line odds, I think you've got to go to the window, just considering the competition he faced in his first 2 races. He ran against Highly Motivated in his debut. That horse came back to win a stakes race at Keeneland in very fast time. And then he beat Greatest Honor, the recent winner of the Holy Bull Stakes, when graduating. I think this horse hated the slop in the Remsen. He was under the whip a half mile out. He just never looked comfortable. And he actually ran on a little bit once the race had been decided and he got to the outside. Known Agenda on fast ground, dangerous.
Yeah, and I think you touched on an important point there, Dan, in his Remsen. Not only was the sloppy track probably against him, but that was not a day you wanted to be on the rail. And he was pinned down on the inside behind horses for a long way in there. And that's why the whip was out. I think he just wasn't keeping up. And once he got outside, he actually ran on a little bit. To me anyway, when I look at this race, 6-1 is a pipe dream. He's got to be a shorter price than that. His first 2 races, to me, are legitimately good.
Milleen, his stablemate, the number 4. Well, you and I could add him for 50. He was entered for the tag in his first dirt start, first time Lasix. Of course, no Lasix in the Sam F. Davis Stakes. But let's watch Milleen win that race at Gulfstream for trainer Todd Pletcher. We turn into the lane. Milleen has the lead, and Milleen holds them all off.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to hold them all off, but he does manage to fight back here. I guess the interesting thing about him is that it's not a typical Pletcher move, I don't think, to come from maiden claiming into a graded stakes race. So maybe that's a positive sign, unless that was the owner's call.
Smiley Sabatka, the number 5, got good towards the end of the year, a 2-turn winner at Keeneland, second in the Kentucky Jockey Club behind Keep Me in Mind, who performed well in the Breeders' Cup, but came into that Kentucky Jockey Club as a maiden. That race just hasn't come back good at all, and now he's got to deal with a layoff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess the one thing I will say about his Kentucky Jockey Club is, considering the dynamics of that race, this horse actually ran pretty well because that was a very competitive pace. Keep Me in Mind came from last to close everybody down, and this horse was doing all the hard work up front. I actually felt like he ran well in there. His prior 2 starts were fine. I don't love him, but I also don't think he's going to be the favorite, and I can see him running well here.
It'll be interesting to see how the 6 Runway Magic, a son of Run Happy, stretches out. I liked his win at Churchill Downs 2-back, going 7 furlongs, a race where he was hung out 4 wide throughout and powered by in the stretch. And I know he faced a very hot horse, arguably the best 3-year-old dirt sprinter in the country, and Drain the Clock in the Limehouse. That horse came back to win the Swale last week with an 85 buyer, but this horse just disappointed me. He didn't run.
Yeah, he didn't run well last time. I agree with you. I mean, I guess ultimately, Dan, you could just say cutting back to 6 furlongs just didn't help this horse at all because he doesn't have a lot of speed. And at Gulfstream, when you're cutting back without speed, you're usually in trouble. Like you, I really liked his maiden win 2 starts back. I really liked his start before that, where I felt like he got very unlucky with a tough trip. I don't know how far he wants to go, but to me, this horse is mildly interested in here at a price.
Boca Boy, the number 7, pulled off a 12-1 upset in this race. The In Reality Stakes and In Reality division of the Florida Stallion Stakes. Sloppy track, was able to control the pace, but he ran hard from start to finish, Mike. And the horse he beat, Breeze on By, is 1-5 and has every chance to go by and doesn't. These connections wanted to run him in the Kentucky Jockey Club. He popped a splint, so he's going to come into this race off a long layoff. Yeah,
we'll see what he does here off the layoff. Listen, he's never run on a fast dirt track. It's been all slop for him in the 1 turf start, but he's got big speed. He earned a relatively competitive figure as a 2-year-old, and now he's off the layoff. We'll see if he improves.
Bill Mott found a great spot for the 8 Nova Rags for his 3-year-old debut. Let's watch the Pasco Stakes going 7 furlongs, and he just stayed in the clear. Sammy Camacho really didn't want to get him dirty, and we see him going right by. He's just simply too good for these horses, and considering his pedigree and the way he looks, I think he will stretch out. He's an interesting contender that might drift a little bit off the 4-1 because that 75 buyer, a little light.
Agreed. I mean, I would only be interested if he did drift off that morning line, Dan, because I agree with you that the Pasco, more than anything else, felt to me just like Mott finding a great spot for this horse. And it's not like he took some kind of big step forward off of his debut win. Doesn't mean he can't still improve. And you're right that the distance could be okay for him. We'll see what kind of price he is.
I'm guessing Candyman Rocket will dip off the 10-1 morning line, considering this race. His second lifetime start, his first over a fast track, and he earns an 85 buyer's speed figure. He stayed relatively close to the pace. He sat second throughout, and he powers on by. Here's the conundrum that handicappers have to discuss. He was the only horse with prior racing experience in this field. It's possible he beat a bunch of plow horses.
That is the real problem with that race. Everybody else a first-time starter. And listen, the runner-up didn't run poorly in there. He showed big speed, and this horse just ran him down late. So I guess we'll find out how good these horses are. I find it hard to trust this horse, but he did run well last time, and he got a figure for it.
And it seems like he's got enough pedigree to go 1 1/16 for Mott, and he should be close to the pace. We saw Ricochet get run down by Joe Manjo with excuse. He went very fast that day. Well, he came back about 3 weeks later, and there was no Joe Manjo running him down. He dominates a bunch of maidens to the tune of a 78 buyer speed figure. This was a very likable performance for Ricochet, and he's a horse I think that's a little bit under the radar because he seems tactical. He loves the track, and he's going the right way.
Agreed. I could use this horse. In some ways, this was the race to have him in because he run so well and got unlucky 2 starts back. Of course, he just came back and disposed of maidens very easily in there. And you're right, he's got speed, but it doesn't feel like he needs the lead. He's a very fair price on the morning line. I'm keeping this horse open.
Pat Biancone has done very well with horses moving turf to dirt, and he's got Lucky Law in here off of a maiden win on the grass at Gulfstream Park going a mile. This horse sold twice for over six figures in Europe, 136,000 in April of 2020. Now, he has a nice pedigree. There's a lot of class. There's a lot of distance. It just seems all turf, but he is working very quickly, both on the turf and on the main track at Palm Meadows.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Biancone do this before with success. Boy, I would want more dirt pedigree than this. He just feels like a turf horse through and through to me, but he also looks like he has some talent.
Last Investment drew a tough outside post position as Tiz Tact Toe isn't also eligible. We saw him finish a well-beaten second to Ricochet in the Ricochet replay. And last time out, he ran better. He ran second, but he was beaten on the square, and he's just going to have to do a heck of a lot better from this post.
Yeah, the post didn't help him. He's a maiden on the way in, so he already needed some help, and he didn't get it at the post position draw.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Sam F. Davis Stakes. Mike, you're going with Known Agenda, who's a known commodity on fast going. 6-1, I know you would lock in right now if you can get it. I'm curious to see what we get from Candyman Rocket. I don't think I'm getting the 10-1, but Bill Mott's being a little aggressive here running this horse off of a maiden victory sprinting, and I'm curious to see what we get. He's your second selection.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what happens with the Known Agenda. I don't think you're going to get anything like 6-1. If somehow you do, I would take it. I think this horse is actually pretty good. So I mostly like him, Dan. The 1 and the 10 were kind of the other two horses for me who I felt like could be prices that I would use somewhere.
Mike's going with the 3, Known Agenda. I'm going to take a shot with Candyman Rocket. I'm curious to see how the Biancone turf horse does. Lucky Law, I put him up in second at a price 9-11-3-8 for me. It's the Saturday DRF race of the day. The Grade 3 Sam F. Davis Stakes is an approximate post of 5:02 Eastern. Good luck.